Stop tarnishing my name. Iringo answers KTN on allegations of fixing Ruto.
It's Wanjala and Akinyi yet again. The two are back in the news for all the wrong reasons.
Uhuru's word. The president asks the judiciary and parliament to seek consensus.
There is also a kind of a go-slow in police. This house must stop being a talk shop.
State of security. August House raises alarm over Kenya's internal security.
This is KTN Prime with Lindah Oguttu and Ben Kitili.
Very good Wednesday evening from the Standard Group Center here in the capital, Nairobi, on this 13th day of November 2013. And welcome to KTN Prime.
We have a comprehensive bulletin for you, including a look at the intrigue surrounding the International Criminal Court, and Interior Principal Secretary Mutaya Iringo has locked horns with Deputy President William Ruto over the Hague trials.
Iringo is demanding an apology from Ruto's defense team for linking him to the alleged fabrication of evidence to implicate the Deputy President.
But in a rejoinder, Ruto's lead counsel Karim Khan says he will not apologize.
Here's KTN Samogina with the details.
The Interior Principal Secretary has rebutted allegations linking him to the fabrication of evidence and coaching of witnesses to fix the Deputy President at The Hague. In a protest letter to Ruto's legal team, Mutaya Iringo blasted Ruto's defense team for maligning his name and tarnishing his integrity, terming the accusations as baseless, aimed at stirring political tension. Mutaya Iringo's defense comes a day after Ruto's key ally Charles Keter demanded for the sacking and prosecution of top state officials linked by Witness 189 to Ruto's fixing during the Waki Commission hearing into the post-election violence.
Why are we sharing the same plate with the people who fix us? And we want to tell our president and deputy, enough is enough. Wenye walifanya ukora, watoke kwa serikali, wastakiwe.
The Interior Principal Secretary, then Under Secretary at Internal Security under Kibaki regime, denied scouting, bribing and coaching witnesses in the Waki Commission to nail the Deputy President. Iringo fired a shot at Ruto's defense team to stop playing political games but conduct legitimate and credible investigations. But in a rebuttal even before the drying of ink on Mutaya Iringo's defense, Ruto's defense team slammed the Principal Secretary. Lead counsel Karim Khan scoffed at Iringo to present his evidence in court and seize what he termed as collateral litigation through the press. Khan further shielded his team, stating that it has never and will never present evidence it knows to be false or does not believe to be true. The government on its part appears shy to delve into the matter as the National Assembly went full throttle to exploit the fixing of Ruto saga.
The senator knows how to deal with that matter through the right channels. When he does so, he will get a response through those channels.
Why are people sitting in the executive, people who framed Honorable Ruto? What is the opinion of the government? When will they resign?
From where I sit and the evidence provided, there's nobody in government who coached and who fixed Honorable William Ruto.
Madam Speaker, the law says that a presidency is a court ticket nowadays. There's a running mate. Honorable Ruto goes every day loyally, leaves this country. How come they have not gone to block Honorable Ruto from going? What is so special about the Honorable, our president, than is not special about my friend Ruto?
We don't want this to be political, and I want to confirm to all and sundry that will not be an entry point to divide the Jubilee coalition. We are firm. We are united.
The Jubilee administration is a government at odds with the ICC, the flashpoint testing its foundation. Samogina, KTN.
That story takes us to a big question tonight, and we are asking you, should Mutaya Iringo, the Principal Secretary, and the Internal Ministry be sacked over ICC witness coaching allegations.
Of course, Iringo is demanding an apology from Ruto's defense team for linking him to the alleged fabrication of evidence. Let us know what you think on that big question. We will be able to sample some of your opinions. Just before we end this bulletin, you can tweet us at KTN Kenya, at Lindah Oguttu, at Ben Kitili. You can also send a text message to the number 22155.
In other news, former Budalangi Member of Parliament Raphael Wanjala and his wife Joyce Akinyi were arrested yet again over suspicion of trafficking drugs. Wanjala and Akinyi recorded statements before they were released this evening. A government chemist analysis, however, confirmed the two were carrying bales of maize flour from Arusha, Tanzania. KTN's Patrick Amimo reports.
After spending almost 28 hours at the Muthaiga police station and interrogated by officers from the Special Crimes Prevention Unit, former Budalangi lawmaker Raphael Wanjala and his wife Joyce Akinyi were released. Earlier in the morning, Akinyi and two ladies she was arrested with from Arusha, Tanzania, were taken to Mbagathi Hospital for CT scans to establish whether they had swallowed pellets containing narcotics.
The white substance that was allegedly being carried in the car like narcotic drugs is actually sifted maize meal. It has also been confirmed that it is maize meal that is sold in Tanzania, in Arusha. It has also been confirmed that the X-ray and the scanning that was done on the two ladies, the two sisters, that is Juliet and Susan and Joyce, it has been confirmed that it was negative, nothing was in the stomach.
Wanjala and four other colleagues that included Akinyi, their driver and two ladies from Tanzania, were last night placed in custody after they were intercepted by police at Isinya from Namanga border town en route to Nairobi. This was after police allegedly received a tip-off from the National Intelligence Service officers that they could have been trafficking drugs. Wanjala claims the officers who had erected a roadblock at Isinya were rough on his party.
A curious Kenyan may have wondered and maybe informed the police that people are carrying bad things. Now it was until when around 11, when they were telling me that we are looking for narcotics, that we are being told these things are narcotics.
Wanjala claims his wife Akinyi was only carrying sifted maize meal from Tanzania.
They are through with the results. That Wanjala is innocent, he was not carrying anything offensive.
While still at Muthaiga police station, Wanjala and his team recorded statements. It was not immediately clear what more information the police wanted from them before their release.
So the process of investigation now goes on, but towards a different direction as to where this information must have come from.
Wanjala and Akinyi's relationship has often been dogged with controversy. In 2009, Wanjala and Nigerian businessman Anthony Chinedu engaged in a property tussle with his estranged wife Joyce Akinyi. Chinedu accused Wanjala of snatching his wife and attempting to grab his property. Chinedu was later deported to Nigeria in June this year after authorities suspected him to be a drug dealer. Patrick Amimo, KTN.
You need not worry. That is the message State House is sending on the fate of the controversial Kenya Information and Communications Amendment Bill. The bill was passed in Parliament 14 days ago and now has another 7 days constitutionally before it can become law. And as KTN's Edith Kimani explains, every day that passes adds to the uncertainty over the fate of media freedom in the country.
The next 7 days will be critical in determining how the media will function in the future. In those 7 days, there exists a window where President Uhuru Kenyatta can either sign into law or send back to Parliament the controversial Kenya Information and Communication Amendment Bill. But the latest from State House indicates there is no need to worry.
That the bill itself has not been formally submitted to the President. Even as the bill makes its way to the President through the formal laid out channels, I can confirm that the President will return the bill to Parliament.
Even with such bold assurances, media owners are taking no chances. The Media Owners Association says that sending the bill back to Parliament will only do so much. In a statement to newsrooms, the association said that parliamentary amendments would only address the symptoms rather than the cause of what they termed as the flawed legislation. The association would instead prefer to hold consultations with the National Assembly to formulate a balanced policy, have the role of the Communications Authority completely divorced from that of the Broadcast Service Regulator, and have the Media Council Bill 2013, another controversial legislation, revised. A section of members of parliament, it would appear, are already on board.
Going up to 20 million Kenya shillings, that is chilling the media. If we have a chilled media, Mr. Speaker, we are going to suffer lack of information.
It's so important that we should not allow ourselves to try and roll back the gains that we have made over the years by sneaking in amendments that will water down the powers of the Media Council.
The Kika bill has elicited fierce debate in recent weeks for the controversial clauses it contains. The bill, among other things, calls for the formation of a media regulatory body whose members would be hired by the Cabinet Secretary. The bill also proposes the creation of a multimedia appeals tribunal whose members would also be appointed by the Cabinet Secretary. Apart from the heavy state involvement this would create in the governance and discipline of the Fourth Estate, critics of the bill have also questioned the heavy financial penalties that would be imposed on offenders. This would perhaps explain why, even with such assurances,
Can confirm that the President will return the bill to Parliament.
Stakeholders are playing Doubting Thomas, waiting to see so as to believe. Edith Kimani, KTN Prime.
That is the stand of the Media Owners Association, pushing for the formulation of a balanced policy in governing the Fourth Estate. Staying in Parliament, the supremacy battles between various arms of government are causing concerns in several quarters. The Law Society of Kenya is calling for a resolution of the disputes, while President Uhuru Kenyatta wants them to meet the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Chief Justice. Wilson Boru reports.
The three arms of government have been in the headlines in the last few weeks for all the wrong reasons. The constant bickering and supremacy battles between the judiciary, parliament and the executive have left many concerned and wondering whether the government has its priorities right. It is National Assembly Speaker Justin Muturi's statement regarding the judiciary that seems to have sent sparks flying.
Mahakama wanaweza sema mambo yao vile wanataka, unajua hiyo ni kazi yao kusema na kutoa maoni, lakini na sisi bunge lazima tufanye kazi. Wataendelea kusema na sisi tufanye kazi. Sio mbaya watu kusema na kutoa maoni huko.
The Law Society of Kenya Wednesday called a meeting to discuss the conflict in government. Top on the agenda, the National Assembly's perceived disrespect of the judiciary and other state institutions.
When we begin to disrespect court orders because in our view, we take the position that they ought not to be respected, then that is the beginning of anarchy. And with devolution in its nascent stages, and with 47 odd governors thinking that they are demigods, there is a danger that they'll begin to disrespect court orders. And where do we go from there?
President Uhuru Kenyatta has also raised concerns with Parliament's treatment of his ministers. He has even gone ahead to accuse MPs of hampering his government's service delivery. It is this conflict that has necessitated a meeting between the concerned parties.
It is prudent, therefore, that in exercising Kenyans' sovereignty, the National Assembly acts with a level of restraint, even as it fulfills its constitutional obligations. President Kenyatta will urge the Chief Justice and the House Speaker to embrace the need for restraint and a deliberative approach to problem solving at the meeting he has convened.
The lawyers also took issue with the Judicial Service Commission and especially its handling of the Gladys Shalay saga. Shalay lost her job after the JSC accused her of gross misconduct and misuse of funds. The lawyers called for a distinction between the judiciary and the JSC.
We as the legal practitioners, what point do we take? I suggest, we insist, you Gladys, boss, come clean. If you did something wrong, or if you're not honest, let us know. You JSC, you just might as well know you're not above the law.
The conflict in government is one that cannot under any circumstances be played down, as it is already affecting service delivery. Kenyans are now watching to see how soon it will be resolved. Wilson Buru, KTN Prime.
Let's revisit the International Criminal Court, and the state is anxiously waiting for Friday when the United Nations Security Council delivers its verdict on the African Union's push for the deferral of Kenya's cases at the ICC.
It is a decision that is expected to impact on the relations between Africa and the West.
The United States has already expressed its opposition to a deferral of the cases.
And the states has veto powers that may compromise the AU-backed deferral request.
We are looking to Friday when we understand the Security Council will vote on the subject of the deferral of the Kenyan cases. The Security Council is voting on a request that is supported by the entire African continent, and it is time to see whether the Security Council truly cares about the interests of Africans, considering that Africans have made this request as one.
Let's see how that goes on Friday. Of course, we're keeping an eye on it for you. Members of Parliament today discussed the security situation in the wake of rising cases of robberies and kidnappings in the country. The members of Parliament accused the government security apparatus of sleeping on the job. Betty Kialo has more.
While receiving treatment at the Meru Level 5 hospital, Faith Kawera narrated how the three men stormed into her shop and without making any demands shot her in the head and then left. Faith's story is one that many Kenyans who have come face to face with criminals can relate to, with an increasing wave of crime sweeping through all corners of the country.
Honorable members.
And in Parliament today, legislators faulted the government for failing to protect its citizens, saying that police reforms should top the list of government's priorities instead of political rhetoric.
The cardinal function of any government, Mr. Speaker, is to protect the lives and the property of the people.
This whole scenario of insecurity in the country must have a place where we are going to put it. Is it going to be at the desk of the IG? Is it going to be at the desk of His Excellency the President? Who is going to take responsibility?
From the time we had Baragoi, then we had Garissa, then we had Bungoma, Nyakach. Didn't happen first time last week. It's been happening for the last more than 6 months, Mr. Speaker.
The legislators made reference to one of their own who just a week ago lost his parents after an unknown gang raided their home, setting it ablaze. Statements like this reignited the debate on whether and how prepared the police department is to combat crime.
Honorable Johnson Mudama, who is the whip, the minority whip in the Senate, has over the weekend has its security withdrawn, all his privileges, the car and all that withdrawn by the police. He called the IG. The IG says, I am at home in the village. I will look into the matter when I come. He said, but who do I turn to? The IG told him, turn to your God.
So they'll report and they'll tell you there is no car.
It appears as if the police have given up on fighting criminals in Kenya, Mr. Speaker.
Yesterday, Interior Cabinet Secretary Joseph Olelenku said the police need to be empowered if they are to fight crime effectively.
Encouraging our parliamentarians to provide us with the necessary laws to make sure that we have the necessary legal framework that supports the fight against crime.
Cases of kidnapping, robbery with violence and carjacking have spiraled in recent weeks. Betty Kialo, KTN.
You're watching KTN Prime, and tonight we are reporting that Interior Principal Secretary Mutee Iringo has locked horns with Deputy President William Ruto over the Hague trials. And on the big question tonight, we are asking you, should Mutee Iringo be sacked over ICC witness coaching allegations?
Alex Makore says, this government is full of drama. When will we start building the nation? Never-ending issues making headlines.
Roland Ebole says Ruto is a deputy president. Him working with people he cannot bring himself to trust is dangerous.
Keep tweeting us. We'll keep sampling some of your views during this bulletin. You're watching KTN Prime. Thank you for staying with us this far. We're taking a short break. We'll be right back.
Police gunned down 2 suspected terrorists in Nairobi's Kitili estate.
Imemwagika chini juu, sio maji ya kinyasi itemea hapo, ikishaanguka imeanguka. Watoto wanakufa jana, pesa ziko hapo kwa nyasi. Watu wanokea tuchote, hiyo iko hapo.
You're watching KTN Prime.
You're watching KTN Prime. Thank you for staying with us.
Earlier on this bulletin, we did tell you of Parliament's broad discussions over cases of insecurity across the country. And just today, 2 terror suspects were killed this morning by the police in Nairobi's Kitili estate here in the capital, Nairobi. Police recovered a hand grenade at the scene of the incident.
At 12th Avenue, Kitili, residents possibly discussing the 5:30 a.m. incident where officers from anti-mugging squad confronted 4 suspected terror suspects and shot 2 of them dead at close range. Police are pursuing 2 other suspects who escaped. A grenade and a pistol loaded with 3 rounds of ammunition were recovered at the scene.
Lakini tulikuwa tunasikia mlio ya risasi kama mara 5, watu wanalala chini. Alafu baadaye ndio tukakaribia tukapata hao wamelalishwa hapa wawili, kupigwa sachi, tukaona mmoja ametolewa bunduki na guruneti.
When these criminals came, as they were setting themselves to take positions, already officers were there, and they were asked to identify themselves, and this is when they suddenly opened the fire.
According to police, the suspects are believed to be members of a gang that hurled a grenade, killing 2 people and seriously injuring several others. Kamukunji MP Yusuf Hassan was among those injured in the attack in December last year. Kitili estate has been targeted by terrorists in the recent past, and the police believe it is also a hideout of several other terror gangs. They are asking residents to be extra vigilant and report any person whom they suspect to have an ulterior motive. Last Friday, 62 illegal immigrants were arrested following a police swoop in the area. Angel Katuse, KTN.
Right, so the national carrier Kenya Airways has made a comeback this year after posting losses last year. Let's look at that story with Joy Doreen Bira. Joy, the numbers look good for KQ this year.
Well, the numbers do look good, and just like you know, recently we did welcome the largest aircraft in Africa, that is the Boeing 777-300ER. So good times for KQ, but also just ahead, Cabinet Secretary is asking the youth to join the cooperative movement. This and more coming up after these messages.
It's another year for Titus Naikuni as national airline Kenya Airways reverses its losses.
You're watching KTN Prime.
Good evening and thank you for watching KTN. It's time for business. I'm Joy Doreen Bira. National carrier Kenya Airways has reversed its 6.5 billion shillings loss announced last year, posting 548 million shillings in the same period this year. The 7.1 billion shilling improvement has also seen the airline's CEO's contract extended by 1 year to oversee the turnaround. Michael Karanja kicks off tonight's business.
It has been a turbulent 12 months for Kenya Airways on the back of a shocking 7.86 billion shilling loss announced for 2012. But the improved performance over the half year was buoyed by a 9% growth in revenues to 54.3 billion shillings, while at the same time managing to reduce its direct operating costs by over 6% to 37.2 billion shillings.
Overheads at 9.3, almost 800 million shillings below last year. We think that again is a good achievement, a lot of effort from management to cut the overhead costs. And if you look at the waterfall, a significant saving was the impact of the lower staff complement in Kenya Airways.
With the airline's business on an upward swing, The board chairman, Evanson Moneki, announced that Titus Nakunyu's tenure would be prolonged through 2014 as it looks for a suitable replacement.
But then considering these challenges and the need to make sure that this company, the company's 10-year strategy plan is airborne, we persuaded him to stay for one more year.
The stars appear aligned for the national carrier with even faster takeoff envisioned in 2014. A new modernized fleet and route expansion fit perfectly into KQ's 10-year Mawingu plan to make it the preferred airline on the continent. This comes as the long-talked-about low-cost carrier Jambo Jet is expected to begin operations in the first quarter of 2014.
So next year is going to be an exciting year for Kenya Airways going forward.
Kenya Airways has also extended its route-sharing partnership with KLM to 6 more routes, including London, to give the airline an additional 44 weekly flights, expect to rake in $500 million annually in revenues. Michael Karanja, KTN Business.
Listed investment firm Centum has posted a 10.7% growth in its net income for the 6-month period ending September 30th, 2013. The firm indicated that this growth was largely driven by its investments income, which rose by 59.9% to 1.19 billion shillings in the period. Profits after tax for the firm rose to 892 million shillings in the period, and a review compared to only 806 million shillings in a similar period last year. Its finance costs in the period more than doubled, while operational and administrative costs jumped to 298 million shillings. Chief Executive Officer James Moria told an investor briefing that they were confident of a strong finish in the remaining part of the year. Only last month, the firm announced it was acquiring a controlling stake in Genesis Kenya Investment Management as part of bolstering its market position. And now let's take a look at other stories that made headlines this day with Philip Keitani.
Vivo Energy, the company behind Shell Fuel Products, has entered partnership with Safaricom Limited for the purchase of its product through the mobile money transfer service, M-Pesa. This will see all Shell branded services roll out the Lipa na M-Pesa option. This Vivo Energy says is in addition to its cash and card payment system. Shell cardholders will also be able to top up their cards using M-Pesa at no extra costs. Elsewhere, Cronex Chemicals Limited has today launched an awareness campaign to improve hygiene among Kenyan households. The campaign, dubbed Jam Free Kenya, will see the company engage in door-to-door nationwide sensitization on ways to improve hygiene, especially among the low-income earning classes. This is in addition to its introduction of a dishwashing and multi-purpose liquid soap, dubbed Basil, in the Kenyan market. Finally, as part of increasing power reliability, utility firm Kenya Power says it has set aside 300 million shillings to improve its Western Kenya services. According to the regional manager Rosemary Oduor, these include recently commissioned substations such as Bomet and ongoing works like Mogogosiek substation. She spoke during a tree planting ceremony in Kuresoi, Kericho County. Philip Keitani, KTN Business.
The Kenyan cooperative industry has been urged to be innovative so as to be able to compete not only in the regional market but across the globe. According to Cabinet Secretary, Industrialization and Enterprise Aden Mohammed, the sector, despite its deep roots in the country, was yet to make a mark on the international market. Speaking at the 3rd Regional Cooperative Value Chain Symposium in Nairobi, the Cabinet Secretary also urged young people to take up the giant movement as opposed to leaving it to the older people to run. This, he noted, was one of the areas of going about increasing cases of unemployment in the country. Globally, cooperative movements are adapting good governance as part of achieving competitive edge in the market. The symposium has attracted participants and exhibitors from more than 15 countries.
In the near future, the youth, on the other hand, would need to proactively find, relevance of the cooperative as a way of enhancing their own skills and future.
I think we have that challenge. And I think we need to ask ourselves, how do we bring more youth into the cooperative movement? Strengthening of leadership capacity.
The cooperative sector is one of the most potent forces for mobilization of savings, for marshalling productive and collective thinking, for driving investment, and of course for empowering the people and the society to transform ourselves and for wealth creation.
KTN Business.
And that's it that we had for you tonight on KTN Business. Back to you, Linda and Ben.
Joy Doreen Bira, thank you so much for looking at the day's business news for us. You're watching KTN Prime. Let's look at the big story of the day. A row is brewing between Interior Principal Secretary Mutea Iringo and Deputy President William Ruto's defense team. Whereas Ruto's defense team says Iringo participated in the coaching of witnesses to testify against Ruto, Iringo says he did nothing of the kind and is instead demanding an apology from Ruto's lawyers. But the leading lawyer in the Ruto team, Karim Khan, has vowed not to apologize to Iringo. Khan says he is prepared to settle the matter in court. The deputy president's allies want Iringo and other top state officers in the Uhuru administration sacked and prosecuted for allegedly bribing and coaching witnesses.
From all that is precipitating in the center of government, a new report released today suggests that 2013 is among the top 10 warmest years since records began more than 160 years ago.
The report released by the World Meteorological Organization says excessive flooding and frequent drought will continue into the unforeseen future.
Kenyan meteorologists say cases of island malaria and related problems could increase in light of the new report.
KTN's Joe Agayo reports on the latest finding that comes amid growing incidents of extreme weather disasters.
From the air, the fields of Johor in southern Somalia couldn't tell it any better. And the humanitarian crisis on the ground proves it. This is the latest hotspot in a series of extreme weather events that are now the worry of the entire globe. Here, thousands take refuge at the Amisom base in Johor after the river Shabelle burst its banks amid the heavier than normal rainfall following the Horn of Africa's worst tropical cyclone in years. Ali Haji Wehelo inspects the construction of a makeshift structure. Like the other displaced persons sheltering here, he treks for dozens of kilometers to escape the floods. The rains and floods have brought problems, he says. They have increased the hunger. Our farms have been submerged. Unless we receive help, we will not have anything left. But now a new report released by the World Meteorological Organization says the troubles of people like Ali may only get worse.
So the news are not good news.
The report released to coincide with the ongoing climate talks in Warsaw suggests that 2013 is keeping with the pattern, joining the list of the top 10 warmest years since records began in 1850.
This year is worse than last year, 2011. 2011 was worse than 2010.
Dr. Peter Ambeje of the Kenya Meteorological Department has monitored weather patterns for decades now, and he says Kenya too has every reason to worry.
We've heard of highland malaria occurring in places like Kericho, Kakamega, Kisii, where we initially did not have those kind of episodes, mainly because of temperatures have increased.
Now, with so much at stake at this meeting, this report is bound to provide for a sobering moment on the need to assist those who are already affected and the urgency of stopping the gases that caused the problem in the first place. Jogeo, KTN, Warsaw, Poland.
KTN Managing Editor Jogeo reporting from Warsaw in Poland. Time now to take a look at sports. Let me take you straight to the sports studio where KTN's Nick Mudimba is standing by. Nick, what's the latest with Rudisha?
Of course, he's an Arsenal fan, too bad, but he's saying he needs to be given more time at least to prepare for more competition. And of course, Safari Rally, which is the classic one now, will be going down in Mombasa, and more on sports. Stay tuned to KTN Prime. The return of Olympic champion David Rudisha.
Justice for all, a Billy got in court demanding for his rightful compensation share.
There are people you give chances to express themselves. They cannot do it. But give them the chance to operate underneath the earth. Kanapita mjui kanapitia wapi. Ni kama fuko. Hata fuko ni ajabu inakausha nyasi.
You're watching KTN Prime.
Well, time now for sports. I'm Nicholas Mudim. And still in athletics, Agnes Chepkosgei could be the first athlete to defend her title at the annual Transnational Bank CAS International Marathon this weekend. Chepkosgei, who won the full marathon last year, has been preparing for these years for the past 3 months, and her third place finish at the Stanchart Marathon is enough for her to gauge her preparedness. Victor Gale has pitched camp in Eldoret and is next with the story.
When Agnes Chepkosgei lined up for CAS International Marathon in 2012, many never expected her to challenge the form book. That victory raised her profile from a non-script marathoner to one who now does not have to struggle for attention when locating races abroad.
Niliposhinda KASFM, niliweza kujulikana kabisa hata na race organizers.
Chepkosgei took part and finished third during the 2013 Standard Chartered Marathon, a race she says was part of her training for the 7th edition of the CAS Marathon due this Sunday. Since its inauguration 7 years ago, no athlete has ever defended the marathon, as new winners are churned out of the CAS Marathon conveyor belt.
Najaribu vile ninaweza niweze kuwa the first athlete to defend the title twice.
Agnes, an alumni of Moi Kapsawar Girls in Elgeyo Marakwet County, has been working on endurance together with 20-year-old Viola Chepchumba, who will take part in the 12-kilometer race on Sunday.
Inatipend vile nimetrain. Nimeona sio mbaya. Last year I was number 13.
Registration for the CAS Marathon closes on Friday the 15th. They say winning a race is easy, but the daunting task comes when it comes to defending the title, especially when you're racing in the land of champions. For Agnes, she is aware of this fact, and she has sworn to defend her title she won in the year 2012 during the CAS International Marathon come this Sunday, the 17th of November. Victor Ogale, KTN, at the Kipchoge Keino Stadium, Kapsabet, Nandi County.
And of course, our team will be in Eldoret on Sunday and air that international marathon, CAS International Marathon, live from the town now. Moving on to motorsport. The long Kenyan motorsports calendar is over, and the teams are getting now ready to take on the last phase of motorsport action, the Kenya Airways Safari Classic Rally. Kenya and Tanzania will host the cars that will cover a distance of 4,300 kilometers, 2,000 kilometers of which will be very, very competitive. A record 60 cars will traverse the Kenyan and Tanzanian draft routes in the last motorsport event this year. Kenya will parade a strong field of 13 drivers, including Baldev Chaga, who will be navigated by Close Ali Onkarai. Tanzania has 2 drivers, with the rest of the drivers coming from Europe.
As from tomorrow, we will have a full secretariat running when all competitors will be able to come in and register themselves. Those who have not, produce their documents for us to verify, check their cars.
The Automarine services will be busy for the next few days working on the cars which are already in the coastal town. With most of the drivers and the crews expected on Friday, the heavy rains reported in most parts of the country are a blessing to the rally organizers, as dusty routes had been given a new challenge. Organizers have assured participants of tight security.
Public safety and all, I've had extensive meetings with the governor of Taita Taveta, Mr. John Ruto, close friend of mine. We've met several times, and I have had full assurance and a terrific support, I must say, from the county of Taita Taveta.
The spectator stage has been moved from Vipingo in Kilifi County to Nguu Tatu in Kembeni Estate. The rally will begin on the 21st this month. Scrutineering commences on November 18th to 20th.
KTN Sport.
All right, and now take you back to Lindah Oguttu and Ben Kitili, the other side of the studio.
Thanks, Nick. Nick there with the latest in sports. It is time now to take a look at our news ender before we wind up this bulletin, and it is taking us to court. A goat in court, Linda.
Indeed, there was an unusual visitor at a Nairobi court as a goat was produced in a case in which a community in Baringo is fighting for compensation over a notorious plant known as Mavenge. Take a look.
A billy goat it is, and it is here in the corridors of justice for nothing else but to seek justice. 10 years after being awarded some money, the goat's account still reads nil. It all started with a High Court ruling in 2007 to destroy all Madenge plants in Baringo County, a ruling that also demanded compensation for the community. Elders of the Il Chamas community say they have not received their compensation.
Tunakataa hiyo yote. Tunataka serikali alipa sisi fidia na masini ya kutoa anakuja location yetu.
The community is pointing an accusing finger at IEBC Commissioner Thomas Letangule, who acted as their lawyer in 2006. The elders now threaten to camp outside the IEBC Commissioner's house until they get their money. Charity Kimani, KTN, Nairobi.
On the big question tonight, we were asking you, should Principal Secretary in the Interior Ministry, that is Mutea Iringo, be sacked over the ICC allegations concerning Deputy President William Ruto? This is how you have polled. 67% say yes and 33% disagree.
Joshua Kisengani says, no, the constitution is clear on the removal of civil servants from office. Due process must be followed.
Carlos Ndugu says, hakuna evidence. He must be let to work. Lawyer Karim Khan must be made to apologize because he is dividing Kenyans.
Of course, thank you so much for writing in, for being part of this bulletin. We appreciate your company. Sleep well. We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Lindah Oguttu.
I'm Ben Kitili. Have a wonderful night. Remember, Jeff Konange Live begins shortly. Stay with us.